Hey, podcast world, it's Diar Lansky. Hope everybody's week was good. This is Whutz The Word Podcast live from Los Angeles, California. And we got a great episode for you here today. We got the one and only originator, Schoolie D, live on Whutz The Word Podcast. Schoolie D, what's happening with you, homie? We really are, blessed to have you on the show. Like I said, I was really looking forward to this interview and the information you bring. It's fascinating, the start and your story. So I'm gonna actually time travel, go back real quick. You were in Atlanta and went back to Philly.
Yeah.
What year was that when you went back to Philly?
I think it was 80. Yeah, it was 80.
Okay.
80, 81, somewhere around there.
And you have your family has a musical background already, correct?
Well, we were forced to have a musical background. My father took one look at the Jackson 5 and said, "God damn, I got 9 babies."
Okay, gotcha.
And one Christmas we expected bicycles, all we got instruments.
Oh, that's
But we were raised that. We were raised, to be like that. You know what I'm saying? It was the 60s, so, we had to have culture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was the time of culture. And they ain't like that no more.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's one thing that, with my company that I have here with the podcast, my production company, my 3 key words on my logos and everything is knowledge, substance, and culture. So that's a big part of what I try to represent here.
But it was. I came to Earth with this. It was natural. You know what I'm saying? Some cats, it's natural. Some cats just want to use it for fame. Some just want to get money. You know what I'm saying? This was a natural thing for me to be an artist.
Very organic.
Yeah.
So you moved back to Philly.
Yep.
And I read somewhere that you knew what you wanted to do, but in that concrete area that you were in, some people kind of thought that maybe you were a little behind because you had gone down south and then come back, or something of that nature. But also the game was so new. I'm wondering how they even thought that to begin with. But when you started to go into it and start recording, you were ready to go, no matter what anybody said.
Yeah, I mean, I was recording myself when I was 9. With 2 tape recorders, 2 or 3 tape recorders. Like back in the day, you would play something, and you know what I'm saying. I always knew what I wanted to do. I always knew I was going to be an artist. That was no question. I just didn't know. I didn't know which one was going to be first. Whether I was going to be a painter, a director, but when hip hop came along, it was just like, okay, this is what I'm doing first, because it was like the gratification. It was more instant.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah. But I mean, it was so new. Again, I'm just, the platform that you had, was almost non-existent, especially if you're doing things yourself at that time.
Well, I mean, the more I got into it, first I got into thinking about recording and doing it for real. It was, people just told me, like professionals, like nobody's going to put this out except for you. You have to do it yourself. And so, I mean, that just took one sentence. You know what I mean? Because I was ready to. And it was everything was new. So it wasn't like I had a lot of options anyway. And especially in Philly, it was like no options.
Yeah.
If it was New York, it would have been something different. I would have been subject to be a New Yorker.
Yeah.
Yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I love that city. You know what I'm saying? But it's like Philly is the place to learn, and New York is the place to be.
And like I said, the platform at that time was so new, or as far as hip hop was so new. What made you be so driven, especially that you are a painter? What made you so driven at that time to be like, you know what, this is what I want to do at this point in time?
Well, it was like when I fired my first band at 9. I was just like, they wanted to play football, and it was like, don't you want to grow up and be rock stars? And it was the dedication was in. They quit. So it was like I knew right then I wasn't going to be a quitter. I just knew, you know what I'm saying? Did you just wake up and you know? I remember my mother asked me, it was just like, she was disappointed I didn't go to college, and she was like, "So what do you know about the business?" I was like, "I don't know, but I just know I can do it." It was just something inside of me that it was. I was, I was. I could talk a little bit. Was cute enough. You know what I'm saying? I could get in the fucking door. I could bullshit my way in the door because it's just like. And my father was kind of like, he worked 3 jobs. He was like, you know what? It's like It's like I want something better, man. You guys could change the world. Let's go change the world. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I was ignorant. I was ignorant that I wasn't supposed to be able to do it, which was if I had known how hard it was going to be, I still would have did it, but I probably would have asked for more help, which probably would have like saturated the sound because every corner I turned, it was like, you can't say that. Yeah. And I was just like, why not? Because I grew up listening to Richard Pryor on the radio. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And Funkadelic, like everything was on the. If it was art, you can't deny it. You shouldn't change it. So I was ignorant to the fact was like I wasn't supposed to change art. I treated my music like it was a painting. So when people asked me to change it, I was just like, I can't be the only nigga who like, you know what I'm saying, who like it raw. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So I just took my chances because trust me, man. I tried to. I respect Marley Marl because I tried to be Marley Marl, but I couldn't because that was them. I was in Philly and I was raised in the North and the South, so that had already shaped me to like believe in myself. And that's what I was gonna fucking do. You know what I'm saying? If you're an artist, you have to believe in yourself. So every time somebody told me I couldn't do it, it just made me think like, well, what the fuck are they doing? That you tell me I can't do it. And this shit was, you're right, it was so fucking new. I was like, God damn, Jesus himself came down and gave us this, man. Because you know what I'm saying? It had to be that. It had to be that.
Well, I couldn't imagine that anybody really knew much about the business at that point anyways, right? I mean, obviously the music business had been around a long time, but as far as adapting that genre into the music business, I mean, it was so fresh and new that, I mean, I could kind of see why they say you can't do that. There was obviously a standard of what was played on the radio, what was being heard, what was being said. So for you to spearhead that, I'm sure you had a bunch of people saying you couldn't do that.
I did. Lady B she told me, I had a conversation with her and she was like, well, when you get your record done, bring it up to me. And the first record was Gangsta Boogie, which was already a mixtape hit. That I pressured the records in Maniac, and I take it up to her, and just like, well, I can't play it. I was like, well, I didn't understand why can't you play it? It's real. This is life. It's cool, but everything's great. But it's just like talking about drugs and guns. It's like I didn't understand why that was a problem. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get it, but this is art. But there's always somebody who was there to help me out. And the station manager was just like, you know what, give me the record. He did the edit, and they played it in 2 weeks. So that showed me like you can do this. Mm-hmm. People, if the art is good, people are willing to help you out. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And to fast forward to like '89, meeting Abel Ferrara, and he said, look, man, you're a film composer. And that's another thing I wanted to do. I told my mother I was going to do when I grow up. I wanted to be a film composer. I wanted to write a Scooby-Doo song. But he was like, man, you know what? You're too black and too real. and it's like they can't offer you anything. Yeah, like, well, you know what I'm saying? The usual offering is drugs, girls, and a Cadillac. You know what I'm saying? I was more, well, if you gave me my fucking money, I could go get my own drugs, girls, my own Cadillac. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wasn't, so nobody could control me. You know what I'm saying? So, and I wrote all my music, I played 5 instruments, so I had a lot of control. But he was like, hey man, these motherfuckers ain't gonna play your shit on the radio. Then and he asked me, so what's important to you? You want people to hear your music, right? Yeah. So if you put your music in my films, it'd be in the film, it goes DVD, it goes to Showtime, it goes to network television, people buy it, VHS, that shit is gonna stay around forever. You make a song just for the radio, once it's over, it might be over. So I took my chances on like making music, like finishing my career, like making music for where I wanted, and having them in movies, because I had more control of it. And as far as the money aspect of it, it's just like you get more royalties.
Mm-hmm.
So so it so what I'm saying to you is, it's like, people can tell, and then that was a magical time. You know what I mean? It was 81 to like 91 was magical for brown and black folks in this country, because we had nothing and we was coming up, and all of a sudden we were young, we were happy, and I know it was born out of New York, but they showed us the way, and it was like, yeah, this is what we should be doing. We had our own money, we had our own cars, we had our own businesses. We hired our uncles and our cousins and our nieces. And, yeah, you understand what I'm saying? That we didn't need that part of America. We never really needed that part of America. For some reason, to be legitimate, they made us think that we need them. And it's like, I was one of those cats who was like, and I was surprised when when everybody just started selling out. And I remember these cats talking to me like, "Don't you want to be on TV so your grandmama can see you?" I'm like, "No, because my grandmama don't like you. I don't give a fuck." You know what I'm saying?
Great.
And they was like, "What's going on with this nigga? Don't you want to be on TV?" And that's how they got a lot of cats. You want to be on TV, because I remember the whole MTV thing. You know what I mean? Like getting played on MTV and that whole thing, and it was just like, I mean, dude, and it wasn't like I wanted a full career, and it wasn't like I just did it on purpose. I just did myself. That was a long ass answer to the question.
No, it's all good. That's exactly what we're looking for. I mean, and you as an artist, and saying what you said, that you wanted to do it your own way, your own thing, your own money, your own style. Did you ever think that you would have been that ahead of the curve as you were? Speaking on how Ice-T, said he modeled the 6 a.m. from you appreciated the art. I think I read somewhere too that you said artists nowadays are in lawyer mode, and at that time you felt that you were you had to be influenced by something, so you had no problem with somebody else being influenced by something.
In the beginning, it was just like, I was making it for music for people like me, and back then people like me, they went to the record stores, they went to certain places, they found their music not so much on the radio, but also on the radio they had like a blue hour. They called it blue radio, and they played hardcore shit like after 9 or 10 o'clock. So in the beginning, it was just like, yeah, I'm not being played in prime time, but I'm getting that. A lot of cats they don't understand, like, you got into the business for art and change the world. They only want to try to understand, like, I want to make a lot of money and get some bitches and shit like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, that's not it. It was hard, but it was worth it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was asking, because you were drawn as an artist and such about your art form and the way you did it. You really put yourself ahead of the game, by doing that. And a lot of people think that they're gonna, put themselves ahead of the game by getting the money and getting famous. You stuck to your guns, and were successful with it. But it's just fascinating though, because again, at the time it was a business that wasn't there. I mean, you created a market for a ton of artists and MCs.
Yeah, but that was a natural inclination for me to do. If you understand, I wasn't thinking about it was going to be an industry. I was looking at the industry as like my brother, like side by side. It's like this was given to me to be creative and forego my artistic style. And I wasn't really thinking about anybody else. I was just, like I said, just thinking about people like me. And I didn't know people like me existed in Los Angeles or Atlanta or Chicago or New York or or in the UK. Um, I didn't really give it a second thought. Yeah, I didn't give it a second thought that I was going to go worldwide because I wasn't worried about that. I was more worried about the art. If you can understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And the track, I'm really into engineering. I always have. In fact, one of my studios that I have is all analog equipment. I don't get to use it as much as I would like, being that we aren't in a technological era with computers and whatnot. But PSK was played live, correct?
Yes, that it was played live because it's the only examples I had of people in the recording studio was like James Brown, Bootsy Collins, and they played the instruments live. You know what I'm saying? So there was no sit down, create the drum track, do the scratches, and it was none of that. You know what I'm saying? That's the only examples we had with bands playing live. So I just thought that's how you did it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It was more for me. It was more fun to do it that way. It was more natural, and you could hear that it's more natural in my vocal style. It was just something about playing everything all at once. So like let's do all those James Brown records. You know what I mean? But he just gives directions and shit like that. Nobody's ever going to reproduce that stuff because they didn't do it that way. Nobody's ever going to reproduce PSK or Saturday Night and all the same because it was produced like a whole different kind of way, and it was natural. It wasn't like it wasn't unnatural. It was like when I got up to like Smokes and Kill is where it was working with a lot of other studios. It was where like people wanted to like it was the engineers were like they said, well, you don't have to have all the drums on one track. If you separate all the different drums, then you might get a better sound, and it'd be easier for me to mix. So that's when about Smokes and Kill, I stopped doing it that way, and I started just I started half of the album is like tracks, and then layer, and then layer, and you come back the next day and layer. That's when I think I started that.
But playing it live was your element. I mean, like you said, you grew up with instruments and a band, and so that was more natural for you, I'm assuming.
Yeah, Signifying Rapper on the record that was live. With my band, I had a 12-piece band, and they warm up with that. And one day, and I've been thinking about turning Signifying Monkey for years to a Signifying Rapper, and it's just like that was like one take. I just walked in and I heard them playing, and I just grabbed the microphone, did it live, and that's why that song really, for me, that's one of my best favorite songs, and that's why that song just sticks out because on the album because it was done that way. And I think Smokes and Kill, those are two songs that was done the old style.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I've always, you mentioned James Brown. I always talk with a lot of people in the studios I work at and everything. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in some of those studio sessions and just see what the engineer's doing, see what, just the whole vibe of it. I would have loved to just witness stuff like that. I mean, it's incredible. And the sound that came out of some of those sessions is just, it's just insane. I mean, it's, I think people take being able to do music nowadays for granted because you can have a laptop and a little interface and a mic and and just kind of do your own thing, and obviously it's not the same, but I think people really take the art for granted nowadays, being able to have that access,
and they suck at it too, don't they?
Yeah, I mean there is a lot, but I mean I guess that's what you get when it comes that easy. I mean, when you have to work really hard for it. We actually had Fame from MOP on the show earlier this week, and we were talking about producing and stuff like that, and I just noticed when stuff comes easy to people, they almost don't care about it as much.
Yeah, that's the truth. Well, going back to the Gucci time, I played drums. That was the original beat was a live drum beat, and it was just like, yo, man, people don't play live drum beats anymore. And they were like, and this new audience don't see black people playing instruments. I was like, what? So the Gucci time, I changed it and I put it into the 909, and it's like, yeah, that, and it does sound different, but it was the same. But it was more, had more air to it. It wasn't as tight.
Mm-hmm.
And now I pull it up and say it still sounds totally fresh. But you're right. And what I did, my new album was I was working on it for 10 years. There was time for me to mix it like a year ago. It just sounded like everybody else's shit. I did it on the computers, and and it just sounded stale. So what I did was I just said, fuck it. I got a cheap computer, dissed all the music, and I just pulled out my drum machines, and I pulled out my loud samples, and I pulled out my ASR 10s, and all this magic again. And I think that's, you have to, if you want to sound different, like so many rappers or producers, they sound exact. They don't have a signature sound anymore. You understand what I'm saying? But I think it's up to the real artist to make it hard.
Yeah, sometimes in nowadays music, you don't even know what their real voice sounds like.
Yeah, but everybody's good, and everybody can, like, everybody's good right now, because it's like, good is the standard, because you can just go buy a computer, you can buy Apple, and you can download some loops, and you can download the same thing, and then you can quantize shit, and everybody using the same programs, and it just sounds so fucking stale.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like Lizzo.
Okay, dope.
I do like Lizzo. I like her story. You know what I'm saying? Because the album came out 2 years ago, and she just worked it. I like hearing stories like that. Just remind me of me being me when I was like in my early 20s. You just worked it. You knew it was good art, and you just worked it.
Yeah, and she definitely hustled that. But that's been part of the game, like you said. It reminded you of what you had to do back in the day, and I think with, again, the music coming so easy, people forget that part. Like, you still gotta hustle this music. People still gotta hear it. You can't just expect to post a link on social media and then all of a sudden you're gonna blow up.
Yeah, and it's yeah, but I'm extremely biased, because the second I start telling my story, you get down to, like, the third chapter 3, and people are like, well, what about the crack and then the gangs and the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the cash, and what do you want? That seems to be the major theme in what people want to do today. I mean, that's what they want to do. That's what they want to do. But being a true artist is hard, but it's easy. It's easy for me to be this. I'm here 38 years later, and I'm not stopping. It becomes easier because I know myself. And some of these cats, they don't know themselves. You're chasing cash. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like the 2 years I chased cash, made millions. Oh, I can spend that shit. It was just like bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that wasn't for me. But for some cats, if that's what they want to do, God bless them. But that's not something. I think we need more balance. And I think some younger cats are afraid to be themselves because they want to be accepted by their peers. Because with social media, you can have something so original, it's so fucking great and awesome, and you put it out and you put it up, and all of a sudden you're just like, people will make you feel bad about it, because it doesn't sound like what's going on today. You're not talking about what, like, how people want to hear. You're not making a booty song. You're not making a stripper song. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just like, I think there's a lot more pressure today because of social media. But I think social media also makes it makes it too easy. Am I making any goddamn sense?
Absolutely. You're making all the sense in the world. This is exactly what people need to hear, though, because, again, like I said previously, get a computer and a mic and an Apple, and you're making music, and then boom, it's on the internet, and then boom, you're right there and in front of everybody, and it's a very immediate gratification type of thing.
I mean, yeah, I like a little bit of quick gratification, but it's more like You know what I'm saying? You write a new song, write a new beat, and you bring cold money over it. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, like that's the joint. That's my immediate gratification. But it's just like everything else. I know it's a, especially now, it's a process because we have so much music being produced so fast in the internet. You really can't. It's like you really can't absorb it all because it just comes and goes way too fast. But I feel like I did something pretty cool. Did you listen to the music?
I listened to the new music, absolutely. I did, and that's what I actually was going to get to. I was going to fast forward to the present time. You brought up the new music, and also too, I mean, you've worked a lot with Adult Swim, and you're still really involved with painting as well, correct?
Yeah. You know, it's like I started painting again. I mean, it was I promised my mother, you know, she said, well, before I die, I need to see you painting again. So I started painting again, man, because people were asking me about because I did all my artwork for my album covers. People kept asking me about that, so it was like I think it was time to incorporate more of the painting because it's like a School D thing is it's all about art, and I created the art with the music and the personality and the cartoon world because Bootsy said, Scooby Dooby, man, if you're living in the cartoon world, you can do anything you want. You can say anything you want. It's like Scooby D is a character that could say poignant shit, stupid shit, racist shit, but he's a character, but he's like, he's taking what is real and giving it back. Like if you look at The Family Guy, you ever watch that show, The Family Guy?
You know what? I absolutely love The Family Guy, I'm going to have to say.
Think about, it's a cartoon world. Think about if they said that shit if it was a live show. That shit would have never got on the air. No. So keeping School D in a cartoon world, I could be whatever I want to be.
It's interesting you bring up Family Guy because years ago, I didn't really watch a lot of TV. I was getting off the ground, starting my studios and whatnot, and somebody said, "Oh, you should watch Family Guy." I was like, I don't really watch cartoons anymore, and this and that. I had no idea that it was somewhat of an adult program like that. And I don't know what episode it was, but one day I caught it, and I said, "Oh my!" Like I had no idea, and this was years ago, of course, but I had no idea Family Guy was that type of cartoon. And it's hilarious, but you're absolutely right. I mean, I don't know, even growing up in the 80s like I did, I couldn't imagine that cartoon. I remember The Simpsons got ridiculed for some of the stuff they did, but as far as you transitioning into cartoons and everything and being a painter, it seems like a pretty natural progression right there.
Oh yeah, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to grow up and write a Scooby-Doo song. You know what I mean? And it was like I presented the opportunity. I went for it, but I mean, it was everything was being lined up. It was like Abel loved my music. He put it in King of New York, Bad Lieutenant. He was a fan. The guys at Cartoon Network, they were fans, and they heard about me scoring for Abel, so they contacted me to score for that. So it was so. When I talk about those things, it's like my career, my life is so different. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's like I don't have managers and 5 lawyers and agents and this and that. It's very personal. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I can't. It's like trying to explain my career to people. It seems really weird because you can't explain it because nobody will believe it.
No, I get it. And is that something you always, like you said, no managers, no this. Is that something you always wanted it to be like, or just again naturally that's just the way everything progressed?
Well, I mean, I had a couple guys who tried, but it was like their thinking was limited. Yeah. I've had people tell me like, "Yo, you got 5 years." I'm like, "Nigga, this is my whole fucking life. That's till I fucking die. What the fuck are you talking about?" He said, "Well, you know what I mean. I get those people, or people who aren't invested into the art of it. They just want it they want it now. That man, if you just do this shit, just do this one thing right now, you know what I'm saying? It'll happen for you." I'm like, "What the fuck is he talking about?" And I understand managers and agents. I understand they got kids want to go to college, and they have bills and they got money to give out. But it was just like I was trying to convince people. Well, if you deal with all three sides, the four sides in me all at once, then you can make money. I'm a DJ, I actor, film composer. You know, what I'm saying I write my own music. If you dealt with all of that, I never met anybody. I think Chris Schwartz was the closest. I haven't worked with anybody that wanted to deal with that. To think it was like, well, I just do music, or I just book concerts, or I just do film. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was very just like tight knit and closed off. Nobody talked to like all the companies. Nobody talked to anybody on all the other levels, and it was like, well, fuck this shit. And it was kind of just like nobody really represented the school, I guess, the brand really well. You know what I mean? Nobody wanted to talk to it. They wanted to think.
So you released in 2019. Oh, I mean, I know we're only a couple days into 2020, but you released the Real Hardcore.
Right.
But you also have a track that I heard that I really enjoyed, Dedicated.
Yeah.
I really like that track, by the way. And both the tracks are really good. I mean, again, I love the substance of the instrumentals.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's classic. It sounds like a classic song the minute you press play.
I mean, yeah, it was those, and yeah, people. That's a fan favorite when I play Dedicated. It's just like the bass line just like came first, and I was just thinking about because this record is pretty much a record that should have came out in '89 or '90. Because I don't think I don't think we did the pinnacle record like everybody else did. Like Enemy had that record, Cool J had that record, Two Crew had that record, NWA had that record. I don't think we had a chance to do that record that was just like that would stand at the top. And you know, I got with Juan, Big Herc out in Chicago, and he was like, "Yo, man, you need to do a record like for your fans and just for your fans." He was the first person that came to me and said that. So Dedicated was the bass line, and I was thinking about a second part to Smoke and Kill, and I was thinking about my mother, and it was just like, and I was thinking about like it has to be. There's a lot of my records like Saturday Night, Smoke and Kill, PSK are about a day in the life of School D, and I wanted to just think about it and take what I used to be like and think about what's going on today. If that makes sense.
It definitely does. But I mean, you portrayed it well. Like I said, it sounded like from the moment I pressed play, it was a classic track. And it's full too. That's one thing. Like how you said, a lot of these people suck at it. I mean, but I, you know, I love instruments. You know, I grew up listening to instruments. I grew up, even if people sampled instruments, you still heard the fullness, the dynamics. It wasn't just highs and lows, you know, bass drum, snare, hi-hat with a voice to it. It definitely did. Now, I got to ask though, was the bass guitar the first instrument that you started playing?
I wanted to play the bass, but my brother was a lot bigger than me. So get your little skinny short ass over to the guitar. So what I did was I said, "Fuck you!" I just played the lead guitar like a bass.
Okay.
But that was my first instrument. My brother was a fucking badass drummer, and he showed me the drums. And before you know, I was playing bass guitar and drums. But the thing about it is just like my daughter is trained; she can read and write music. But the cool thing about that is it's like I was taught to just like hear the music and translate it. That's the hardest thing to do, is to translate the music from your head to your fingers and your toes. But the bad thing is, it's like I can't play anybody else's fucking songs. I would love to play a James Brown song, but I just don't fucking hear it. Mm-hmm. I could play the drum beats, but so the bass was first, and then the drums, then later piano and keys and flute or whatever I had to play, whatever I had to learn to play. And being in film, you got to play all kinds of shit. Mm-hmm. I studied violin for about a couple of years. It was, but I spent the first 20 years of my life in training to be an adult. So that's, you understand what I'm saying? It was, but I was just like, man, I'm either gonna be an artist I'm just gonna fucking die because it's nothing else worth it. You think what I'm saying? And you have to have that kind of dedication. You have to have something other than yourself that you would die for.
Absolutely. I mean, that's huge right there.
And it can't be money. It can't be money. You can't die for fucking money. That's bullshit. You know what I mean? But it has
agree.
To be something. It has to be something of substance that you would die for, something that you would give up everything for. And so that's the new that's what keeps me going.
So 2020, what's going to be new for you this year? And Happy New Year, by the way.
Me and Chris Whutz got back together. We're gonna do a Rough Nation / Jive Records. So we're doing a distribution deal. That's gonna be fucking awesome. I have a new cartoon in the mix called The Cook Have You Been With Show, and I play a stripper called Chocolate Spider. And I'm probably gonna write a book this year. I don't know. It's that the book is a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
Because most people just want to hear about this in Parkside, about gangs, and about drugs. You know what? That's something that just happened to us. You know what I'm saying? That's not that shit. Crack is not something that we planned. That was just some shit that happened to us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's just like I think that's too well promoted about that, and I think that black and brown folks, our lives are more complicated than that. I remember being talking to those cats at Jive. I never wanted to sign with Jive Records anyway, but you know, and they gave me the check. I took it back up, and they gave me more. But it was just like they were trying to tell me, these white guys in the room was trying to tell me that you can't be. When I was trying to put out "Am I Black Enough for You?" They said you can't be smart and black. I was like, what the fuck did you just say to me? You can't be. People don't understand smart black men. They didn't want to put the "Am I Black Enough for You?" And they called all the producers in New York, and they all looked at them and was like, man, this shit. But they, you know what I'm saying? So it was. This life is complicated. It's complicated for complex people like myself.
You know, that's crazy. It just seems more like an agenda that they had than actual concern. You know,
the agenda is to like get rid of our history. It's just like I don't play that bullshit when I hear people say, "Well, he don't know because he's 20." Fuck that shit. When I was 20, I didn't get a pass.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they are supposed to. And it's like if we don't know our hip hop history, if we don't know our black history, our brown history, our American history, we won't have it appreciated. And then like these new cats should know where they started from, so then they can know where they can take it. Because I'm surprised we haven't come up with a new music. It's like hip hop and gangsta rap. That shit's still here.
Yeah.
I don't mind it being here, but it's like the way it's here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like just niggas killing niggas. That's it. That's what it's about. That's not hardcore gangster rap. Just niggas killing niggas. It's like, dude, y'all gotta do something better than this, man. Y'all gotta make a whole new music. Y'all gotta make a whole new sound for your generation, because it's getting harder. It's getting worse. I know we've been getting shot and hung and killed for a long time, and he promised us that money would solve everything. Money didn't solve shit. Am I right? No, culture.
No, it didn't.
We got to stop talking about someone's fucking money, because we have the money. We do have the fucking money. It's just, we go to the movies, we buy bullshit, we buy fucking, you know what I'm saying? Just go online. You can see what new rapper fucking bought a new, I don't know, Bellini or whatever his motherfucking cars is. But it's like, we have the money, but we gotta fucking get back to the culture and keep the culture alive. And I don't want to be like one of these. I'm not like one of these old dudes just like angry about the money that the young cats are making. But it's just like I know we are deeper than that. I know we're deeper than that.
No, I agree with you completely, because you know, one of the big things, the problems I have with the younger kids is the knowledge part. It's like, I just want them to care.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's not me to tell them what type of music they should be doing. If that's their freedom of expression, more power to them. But I always use this as an example. When you talk to people that do like rock or heavy metal, they know what guitar Jimmy Page used and what amp he used, and what chord or this and that, and you talk to some of these kids about hip hop, and you'd be like, they're just very disrespectful, and it's like, come on, man, you gotta do some of the knowledge to know why you're able to express yourself the way you do.
Yeah, because they've been teaching us for years that our history don't matter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we've been going for it. And they've been promising us for years that we're going to get some of this money. But they only give it to like a couple, we got 10 niggas that's rich.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Back in the 80s and the 90s, like everybody was rich. And not just money, but we were just rich people. And it was moving in a certain direction, but it's like, I just don't think some of the new hardcore rappers really got the balls enough to say, don't call me nigga whitey. You understand what I'm saying? Because they thinking about their vodka deal, or their watch deal, or their basketball deal. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They're thinking about all the endorsements that keeps them as slaves.
I just still shocked. I'm shocked, but not shocked what you said about how they said, well, no one wants to hear, a smart black man. They want. That's just. It's just. The reality's there. I guess it's not that shocking back then, but even to now. But it's just shocking. It's like, well, like you just said, I'm surprised we haven't made a new genre after all this. It makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, where's the new genre? But we're not going to end this on a down note.
No. It needs to be heard though, because again, if you bring awareness, maybe we bring some change with that.
Well, change is inevitable, but people change when change is needed, when they think changes. You got to be thinking about a whole bunch of other shit about change. You just can't think about your pockets or your dick.
No, I agree.
You got to be thinking about a whole bunch of other shit with change, and that's kind of like that's. But I'm not just. I think across the board, it's a little too easy. So I think across the board, like all art, is just a little bit too easy. But also, I do. It's very rare, but I do hear like a lot of cats who have it.
Yeah, and you brought up the book. That's going to be somewhat of a transition for you.
Yeah, because it's like it's basically it's like, so what do people believe? You know what I'm saying? And all the publishers just like, man, nobody gonna believe that shit. Nobody believe you an alien or some shit like that. You know what I mean? You help create a whole gangster rap, whole new genre of music. Motherfuckers want to hear about selling crack and shit. You know what I mean? It's just like that. But that shit is boring to me. This shit is boring. Like people just, people just killing each other for drugs. To me, that shit is boring.
But believe it or not, some people that don't live that and see it every day, like you did, and a lot of the, what goes on in the ghettos and the hoods. Some people fantasize about being there,
and it's fucking ridiculous. I tell these young motherfuckers that, man, we did what we did to get out of our situation, not to get into the situation, to get out.
Yeah,
people do drugs and just. I'm not gonna say most, but half the cats are just like in a situation like shit. You know what I mean? My dad lost his job and she moved out. I got to sling a little bit. They got on their feet, but they also was doing shit like opening up grocery stores in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Daycares. Yeah. Shit like that. And once that ran through, they just like they left the drugs to the guns alone. But it's like today, and back then it was like drug dealers knew they gonna get fucking caught.
Mm-hmm.
That they would invest into the talent. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They would invest in the School D's, 2 IPs and shit like that because they wanted to come out of jail with something legitimate. But then it turned where it's like the drug dealers and gangbangers, they became the rappers. That's the major difference.
Ironically, I have a song for a new album I'm putting out later this month, and it's about how people from the ghetto or hood or whatever you want to call it, they almost rebel by doing the opposite and doing good. And then you have people that are from rich neighborhoods and very privileged that rebel by trying to get into the ghetto. And it's just kind of a weird type of situation because you see it a lot. I see it every day, and like I said, some people fantasize about living the ghetto life, and they were born nowhere near it, and it's amazing to me. I guess amazing is not a good word, but it's shocking.
Being in the ghetto gives you a certain freedom. Where it's like you're like, fuck it, I just gotta be myself.
Mm-hmm.
There's always been ghettos. There's always been poor people. Yeah, if you believe, let's just say the story of everybody knows the story of Jesus. That nigga was broke. You know what I'm saying? And it was just shit. It has to be poor people that come up with the art, because trust me, the art that comes from rich motherfuckers suck. You know it, and I know it.
Yeah, no,
you know what I'm saying? It's like that wide receiver when the Eagles and shit like that. He get paid. He ain't playing us. That's. Am I right or wrong?
No, you're right. You're 100% right.
Basketball player gets paid. That nigga ain't doing shit except for LeBron. So it's like having ghettos and being poor is just a situation, and it's just like it gives you that drive. So I can see how some rich people, they want to be poor, they want to be in the ghetto because they don't even know why. They want to get away from that bullshit that they're in. They want to feel free. They want to wear their pants down to their fucking ass or some shit like that.
Yeah.
They want to express themselves. But I think the poor people forgot that there's dignity in being poor.
Mm-hmm.
And they start acting like the poor images that you see on television. It's probably even worse than it was in the 60s and the 70s. The images, like other movies that's being made. I was watching this YouTube channel, and this actor, he was on the Black Family Ties with Urkel, and he was saying back in the day, the thing was, it was like when you was a black old Hollywood, when you was a black actor, you did shit, you helped people, but now today, Black Hollywood, there's no Black Hollywood. It's like you don't help your friends out. You just like use that. I'm just trying to get paid. You know what I'm saying? That's in everything. We gotta stop telling motherfuckers that they should do anything for money. We gotta stop saying as long as I'm getting paid. We gotta stop saying that bullshit, because it's like it's not as long as I'm getting paid, because money, experience is real. Money is not. Money is just like, trust me, I like the money, but it's the art first. The money just gives you shit that you like on earth. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? So, but it's like everybody can't be like that. Everybody's not an artist. If we have like 100 motherfuckers who call themselves artists, you probably have 5 real artists. But you think about the cats that actually change the world, and then everybody afterwards just follow that to make the money.
Now, you basically touched on this next question, but I still got to ask, what would be advice to these artists just starting to come up, this younger generation that wants to start rapping or painting or anything like that? What would be some of the best advice you get? And besides that, you really just touched on it right there, but what would you tell them?
Why do you want to do it? Be honest with yourself. You want to get some crack and some bitches, just be honest with yourself, and don't call yourself an artist. Call yourself an entertainer. Learn the instrument, because if you come up with a style, because everybody's album and singing and rapping or whatever is not going to be up, but it's just like you become a studio musician and you get royalties.
Mm-hmm.
Learn all the shit in the studio. Learn everything. Learn how to record yourself. So many cats I meet today don't even know how to fucking plug in a goddamn microphone.
I know.
And get out and talk to people for real. Have a story. Live life. Have a fucking story, man. Because it's like, and a story other than I shot a nigga. That's not a story. That's just like a response to some shit that some motherfucker did to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the purpose in the story. But you have to be honest with yourself, because all of it counts. You know what I'm saying? A guy told me like years ago, you know what? Your your competition is not of the rappers. Your competition is Michael Jackson and Luther Vandross.
Yeah, yeah,
And think about like when Lady Gaga, like this is back when Lady Gaga sold 2 million records, and people go to the record store, they go in and they pick up your shit. It's like everything is competition, but everything is relative. But you have to be fucking honest with yourself. And with women, you have to learn how to engineer, because women and black men, we get treated like animals. Like, what I'm saying? It's like black dudes just go sit in the corner and be an artist. Women, you know what I'm saying? It's like so many women. You have to learn. You have to learn your craft. You have to learn how to engineer. You have to learn the computer. You have, even in GarageBand, you have to know what you want when you walk into the studio and command the fucking power. But if you just want cracking bitches, just be honest with yourself.
yeah. Just go do it.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Just be honest with that. But if you're an artist, you have to learn everything about your craft. You have to fucking carry records, and you know what I'm saying, and read the fucking album cover, which they don't fucking have anymore. But just like you said earlier, it's like everybody in the rock world knows exactly what everybody played on the record.
Yeah, and they love to research it too. Still,
Yeah.
they love to research it, and it's ironic you say learn to engineer, because when I grew up rapping, I have a very nasally voice, and I used to go to the studio, and this was before computers, and I hated the way I sound. And I told myself, look, if I can learn how to track, mix, and make myself sound good on a record, I'll be able to make anybody sound good on a record. So I kind of dropped everything and learned the process of tracking and mixing and the whole thing. So I mean that's such a valid point that I think is overlooked a lot.
And one more piece of advice. It's just like if you're working with Pro Tools or anything like that, drop that bullshit, because if you just drop it, because it's just gonna sound like everybody else. Start producing your music organically. Produce it outside the box first before you put it in the box. Because I think it's the time is ready for change. And be brave. Just be fucking. Let's say fuck it and be brave.
Yeah, that's dope.
I mean, think about like BDP, Public Enemy. Yeah, well, in this era of this president and this government, rap is supposed to be on this shit.
Yeah.
Rap is supposed to be on this shit. Rappers are supposed to be like, yeah, I get fucked up and I shot this dope nigga, and rappers are supposed to be on this shit. You know what I mean? We're supposed to be on this shit, and they scared, and it's like motherfuckers talking about killing other boys and shit. That's not brave. You want to be fucking brave? You know what I'm saying? Get on this shit. And when people say, when I hear like black people say I'm not political, nigga, everything black is political. Everything Mexican is political. Everything Spanish and Latino. Everything is political for us because they made it political for us. You understand? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like when I was born, we couldn't even black people couldn't even vote. Think about that shit.
Yeah.
And they wanted to get back to that. So it's like, be brave and be honest with yourself. Just take a fucking chance. It's like I took a chance and was like, you know what? Fuck it. And I think in like the 300, 400 songs I produced, I think I only did like maybe 3 radio tracks, and they sounded horrible because it just wasn't me. And it's just like if I didn't make $1 million that year, it's like I didn't care. If I made, you know what I'm saying, $500,000, that was okay because I can look at myself in the morning. It's like always like think about that. And I have like a 38-year career, and I'm going to do this shit till I die. I think that's the advice I would give. Think about all that shit. Sometimes you gotta say fuck.
And like you said, be brave. That's a huge point.
You gotta be brave. You gotta be brave.
Well, man, we really we're just honored and blessed to have you on our airwaves. Is there anything that I left out that you want to tell to the people or anything?
You know what, man? I guess you can make sense of what the fuck just happened. but you know what I mean? It's like, I think that was it.
Okay, cool. Well, again, just an honor and an absolute privilege to have you on our, to give this information to people. There's a lot of stuff in this interview that definitely needs to be heard. So, you always have a home. Anything that you have coming up, anything, just reach out to us. We're definitely behind you 100%.
All right, cool. I'm doing a pop-up art gallery in New York later this month.
Excellent.
I guess I have Mohan get in touch with you about that, and then you can call me and we can discuss it. But it's probably like the last week of January. But I'll get you information.
Excellent. Sounds good. Really appreciate you. Salute to you and everything that you have done for hip hop and the culture and art, just art in general. We look forward to your 2020. Look forward to hearing more about the book too, because I think that's really huge part of your journey. And again, we salute you and everything that you've done, my friend.
All right, yo. Let's go eat some sushi.
What's the Word Podcast with the one and only Schooly D. We will see you guys next week. Enjoy. Peace.
All right, my brother.